Hi everyone, my name is Kaylee Stout. I would like to personally welcome you to my educational technology presentation. A little bit about myself before we begin. I am a graduate student at Loyola University, Maryland, pursuing my master's degree in educational technology. I am currently a second grade teacher at Williamsport Elementary, and this is my 5th year of teaching at Williamsport. Go Wildcats! To explain the purpose of my internship presentation, I'm going to be reviewing with you my internship this past fall, which was focused on technology PD. I'm going to be reviewing with you my objectives, my processes and products of my internship, my reflections, and at the very end, what my next steps are to continue to become a tech leader. Some of my overarching goals of my internship are as follows. When I was developing my goals for my internship, I considered what my goal was, as well as what the goals were for participants as well. I wanted participants to be skilled at using and differentiating between the different levels of the SAMR model and their uses in the classroom in order to create and design purposeful learning experiences for their students. It's more than just getting the iPads into the hands of students. It's designing a learning experience using tech that has purpose to think about how we're going to take those skills to help students become 21st century learners. Throughout my internship, I also had 4 sub-goals that I referred to throughout the different PD session, which were as follows. I wanted teachers to be able to reflect on their current technology use through the SAMR model and use their reflections to help them determine what their areas of growth were. I wanted teachers to be able to assess and analyze their professional development needs with purposeful technology integration. I wanted teachers to be able to utilize the technology committee throughout the school year as a means of support to help with their personal and professional growth. And lastly, I wanted teachers to be able to rate their use of technology tools and their comfort level in order to maximize student engagement, learning, and purposeful technology integration. Here's a timeline of my internship experience throughout the fall of 2019. In August, I had my initial meeting with my principal, Mrs. Smith, to plan my internship. And in August as well, I also had my first meeting with the I-team. During this meeting, the purpose was to develop goals that aligned with our school improvement plan, as well as develop the overall purpose of the I-team committee this year. In September, I sent out a beginning of the year survey to staff members. In October, we held 2 face-to-face PD sessions, as well as sending out a resource for staff, which was based on the different levels of the SAMR model. In November, we had a face-to-face PD session that was focused around the new features of iOS 12, and that was a professional development opportunity. And then in December, I sent out a mid-year survey, which was the end of my internship for staff to complete to analyze and reflect on their uses at that point of the SAMR model in their instructional purposes. To start my initial internship proposal and planning, I met with Mrs. Smith to review my goals and what I had planned. My idea was to incorporate Tech Thursdays into our PD opportunities for staff. Professional development on any tech tools that staff thought they needed exposure to was my first priority. My idea was to hold Tech PD every Thursday, but due to after-school obligations and responsibilities, that became sort of an unrealistic goal, and PDs were then moved to twice a month, which occurred about every other week, sometimes every 3 weeks. I had hoped my PD could be presented in an EdCamp format to accommodate the different skill levels of technology in our school. However, due to the low participation numbers and the lack of staff members that would be willing to help lead a session, this was not able to work as well as I would have hoped. I chose to host Tech Thursdays after school to accommodate the flexible schedules of all the participants. The incentives during these PDs were the workshop PD pay that Mrs. Smith was willing to offer, as well as leave early passes for any teacher that was willing to implement any piece of technology PD that was given. One of our goals were to provide staff members with professional development focused around technology tools and how we can use the SAMR model to purposefully use technology in our learning experiences, and that's where I came in. I created the technology survey that was sent out to staff members, extending beyond just teachers. This also included our guidance counselor, our gate teacher, as well as paraprofessionals who were also involved in planning and learning experiences for students. This survey evaluated where they fell in the different levels of the SAMR model and how often they use technology with the different levels. In the survey, I included a rating scale for each level of the SAMR model, as well as an open-ended question for staff members to request and suggest specific technology tools that they were hoping to use more of in their classrooms this year. The survey results of the rating scale showed that most participants are comfortable and used most with technology for substitution and augmentation. Modification and redefinition are areas of growth for staff members when it comes to implementing technology usage in the classroom. The open-ended question responses were as follows. Teachers were asking to explore apps that could be used for redefinition. They were hoping to discover augmentation tools in order to be able to use them when reading text digitally. A specific teacher had asked for a PD on Flipgrid and GoFormative in order to use them as assessment tools in the classroom, and another teacher had asked how to use technology when you aren't in a one-to-one setting. Our grades 3 through 5, as well as the second grade magnet classrooms, are all one-to-one, so a lot of our primary classrooms are only 2-to-1. The very first resource I provided staff members with was the SAMR model resource. Throughout the survey, there was a lot of language that focused on the SAMR model, and I felt that it would be useful for staff members to understand the different levels more in depth. I provided them with a Google Slides presentation via email. Each slide focused on different apps and learning tools that can be used with each level, as well as a resource they can use while they are planning with technology use. I wanted to provide them with a more in-depth explanation for the SAMR model. Then we held our very first face-to-face session that focused on Flipgrid. This was a PD session that I led myself. There were 9 participants present. This PD focused on an explanation of Flipgrid, how teachers could use it, how they could make a grid. I then explained how Flipgrid could be used within each level of the SAMR model. This demonstrated how one app could be used for multiple purposes. Then teachers were given time to collaborate and plan with other teachers. One thing that I really enjoyed about this PD was the varying examples of how Flipgrid could be used in multiple ways, and I really feel that this benefited the participants greatly when they started to plan for their use of Flipgrid in their classroom. The next session that was offered was Green Screen PD, held by our media specialists. This session was held on Halloween with only 4 participants. I think that the date of the PD affected how many participants attended. Unfortunately, during this PD session, we were only able to understand what green screen was and the different features of the app. We weren't able to have time to explore the DoInk app or practice making a green screen. This is one thing that I would change in the future. The last face-to-face PD session was held on November 14th that focused on the iOS 12 new features called Beyond the Basics. This session was held by our school's digital integration specialist. There were 6 members present. This PD focused on understanding what the different new features were and how they could be used to enhance the students' learning. We then were given the opportunity to combine some of the features together in order to use them as assessment tools, and then we're given time to plan and collaborate with each other to implement these tools into our learning experiences. At the conclusion of my internship, I sent out a mid-year survey to figure out where teachers felt that they were at this point in the year with using the different levels of the SAMR model in purposeful technology instruction. This is the same exact survey that was sent at the beginning of the year. This survey included 2 open-ended questions that would be used to guide future technology PD opportunities, as well as the initial rating scale that was given at the beginning of the year. These 2 questions focused on what staff members were hoping to receive as far as PD opportunities for technology throughout the continuation of the year, as well as any suggestions or tips for how we can make Tech PD more beneficial for them. As you can see from the survey results, modification and redefinition grew for how often teachers use them and implemented them in their learning experiences. The open-ended questions suggested that teachers were searching for more ways to implement and encourage intermediate students to collaborate with their primary students, specifically focusing on a book creator app. Some teachers gave a response as not applicable, as in they had no other suggestions for tech PD opportunities that they were suggesting to be offered. Some teachers had suggested that we provide more adaptation with technology use for the little ones, and other suggestions were to have more time to plan with their teammates, which brought up a good point of offering this tech PD during grade level planning times that are mandatory in order for them to be able to implement those technology PD tools that they were learning about. Throughout the next section, I'm going to review the 5 key concepts that I included in my portfolio that connect to my internship experience. What is a key concept? Well, in my portfolio, I have included 17 key concepts from the EdTech program. These key concepts are all showcased through my learning. Each key concept has an artifact that was completed during my time in the Educational Technology program. I connected the artifacts to learning objectives and the key concepts through hyperlinks, photographs, videos, files, and screenshots. The first key concept that I connected my learning experience to was 7.1, where I was able to apply a model of technology in the school, which was very simple through the SAMR model resource, and the continuation of reflecting back and reviewing the different levels through our PD sessions. The second concept was 12.1, which is applying a model of change to the technology innovation to the school, which is where I felt offering PD sessions to our staff members fit best. About 3 years ago, we held tech PD sessions, which were very beneficial to the staff, but they had not continued since then, which is where I came up with my initial internship proposal. The third key concept was 14.2, being able to demonstrate the ability to leading technology initiatives at my school, which leads to the planning, the process, the products, and reflections throughout the PD sessions. The fourth concept was 15.1, and this applied to if I was able to apply the models of professional learning to real change within the school. Even though my internship only lasted a few months, I do feel that I have set myself on the right path to continue to initiate that process of change that I have continued to lead and organize. The final concept was The final concept I connected my internship experience to was 16.2, which is if I was able to implement the best approaches to my technology initiative. These reflections came through my initiative to integrate the technology PD. I reflected before each session, throughout the planning of each PD, as well as during and after. Each reflection led to an alteration in my initial proposal or a change to better meet the needs of the staff members. The last part of my internship experience presentation that I'm going to share with you are the reflections. These are my personal reflections throughout my internship experiences. The first one is sharing of the positive reflections that I had. I felt that I offered my staff members a variety of PD sessions on different technology tools. I felt that each session was very engaging, the information was easy to use, and administrative definitely supported the initiatives and incentives that I had in place for our PD. The areas to improve would be to have more time to plan and implement, provide teams with more opportunities to collaborate and plan. I was hoping to better implement the EdCamp format because I know that it truly benefits staff members, but the lack of participation limited that. The time frame to complete my internship, and then providing sessions during mandatory team level or grade level PD opportunities would hopefully help the participation as well. When backward reflecting, there are a few things I would have done differently. I would have involved more of the leadership in our school, provided more online sessions to make it more self-paced. I would have made PD more enticing with better incentives such as snacks, raffles, or prizes, and I would have reached out to specific teachers as leaders to encourage the EdCamp format. When forward reflecting, I feel that my internship was successful because teachers were able to learn about new programs and expand on their tech toolboxes. They were able to gain knowledge of different ways to incorporate new technology skills, and I was readily available for that assistance with that. When thinking about my next steps as a technology leader, I want to continually present staff with new technology tools and programs. I want to be available for staff members as a technology liaison and continue to be an active member of the I-team and building a plan of action for continuing PD sessions for staff. Based on those survey needs, we'll take a look at the teachers that with specific inquiries and provide assistance for them. Thank you for viewing my internship experience presentation. I hope this inspires you to make a change in your school as well.